Yes, graduates, welcome to Hard Talk Podcast with HTK. Fasten your seatbelts. Hey, users and subscribers, welcome back to another episode of Hard Talk with HTK. Look here, this whole case with Ashley Jana has been throwing up a lot of heated debate across social media around whether or not racism played a part in her death. Listen, we've got to have this critical discussion. Now, first of all, I have been paying attention to the comments under the previous video. Yes, man, me see them. And a whole pauno a come out and say, listen, race not have nothing to do with this and love who you want for love. And, I understand. I understand where you're coming from. You're believing in the fact that love is a pure thing and whoever you fall in love with, it can end up turning out terribly and you can end up in situations of, abuse. I hear you, and I see where you're coming from, so let's go into it. Let me tell you something. There has been a tragic rise in the percentage of femicides that's taking place across the world, globally. And when I looked into the actual statistics, evidence from the National Institutes of Health, this is a .gov site, has shown that Black women are at a higher risk of femicide than other races. And this particularly in the UK and the United States of America. They describe this as a crisis or a silent war driven by systemic racism, socioeconomic inequality, and domestic abuse. Let that sink in for a minute. So while I do accept that situations like this occur no matter what racial dynamic you may come across, there is a deeper phenomena taking place, and this is about the fact that people seem to think that Black women are the easiest disposable option. And yet somehow we also have the lowest rates of justice in the system. I don't really want to go down the route of pulling up all the old cases that have still remained unsolved, but you just have to Google it. You can go through YouTube. There are a myriad of cases like this where Black women's lives have been lost and absolutely nothing has come out of it. Not necessarily in the dynamics of a relationship, but certainly with fatal ends and no answers. Now, when I say to you, I would rather my own. I prefer my own culture, my own race, and that is my preference. I think I now need to explain to you exactly what I mean. I'm going to talk specifically about Jamaican men because this is my audience and also my culture. Let me tell you something. When it comes to working with my fellow Jamaican man in a relationship, I know that we will meet and face the same struggles head on. I also know that culturally we are in sync. I also know that the struggles that he faces, I completely understand them and vice versa. I also know that when it comes to leverage and equality, we are more on par. I also know that he is not going to use systems against me based out of privilege, because he and I are one in terms of the same culture, the same experience, the same understanding. We face the same battles. Now, when you look at a situation where you are involved with somebody, particularly of the white race, they at any moment can capitalize on their privilege when they decide that they are no longer interested in you. And when they are operating in a system that is designed specifically for them, meaning that the police system, the legal system are more prone to see Blacks as criminals. And this is about systemic racism. They're more likely to see Blacks as criminals. They're more likely to see you as the aggressor. They're more likely to bend towards them than to you. And statistics has proven that. I would rather not deal with those layers of possibility where I am placed at an extreme disadvantage. That's my choice. And yes, I stand by the fact that the devil I know is better than the devil I don't. That is my choice. I would rather take the risk with my fellow black man. That's me. But let me just go into this whole dynamic of Ashley Jana and her own perspective on black men that has caused a series of backlash and even a lack of empathy from black men on the internet. And listen, I don't necessarily agree with this. So, of course, the internet is going to do what it does. And it dug up a series of tweets and status updates from Ashley Jana herself. One of which said this: "Every day, black men wake up and find new ways to embarrass us." Now, I want you to really listen to that line, okay? Because I don't know about you people, and I don't know about your circumstances and experiences. But let me tell you this. I have got some prosperous, hardworking, wonderful black men in my family that this does not apply to. They're not out here embarrassing me. When we take stereotypes like this and we pull it right across a race of people and a gender of people, this is a serious stereotype that feeds into racism and basically puts down black men below other races, be it white, Indian, Chinese, whatever. She even went on to say there's nothing like a man who lets you rest in your feminine energy. So what are you saying? Black men, if you're with one, makes you turn out to be masculine? And I'm going to explain the dynamics of that particular statement as well. When Ashley made these comments on her Twitter, she was highlighting the fact that being with her knight in shining armor, Joe McCann, made her feel feminine. There are questions here about what femininity looks like to Ashley, but clearly from what she displayed on her Instagram and her social media accounts, this meant living in the lap of luxury, doing very little, and being a kept woman. Now, a woman who doesn't have to do anything but look pretty, wear designer clothes, get treated like a doll, travel, and not pay her bills because they're covered, does not necessarily make you feminine, because at the end of the day, all of those investments come with a price. Yes, very rarely are men going to give up all of this for free in this day and age. You know, my grandmother used to say, no man is going to buy the cow when them can get the milk for free. Listen, they didn't even get to walk down the aisle. This girl barely got engaged 2 days before she met her demise. So when you hear her make statements like every day black men wake up and find new ways to embarrass us, I wonder if Ashley is also considering her father to be one of those black men who embarrass, considering that her mother and father are no longer together and both have divorced or separated, because we don't even know if they were ever married, gone their separate ways. Because a fractured household means that somebody or something failed. So if she sees no black man as any potential example of what manliness ought to look like, that includes her own dad. That's what I get from that. Now, just as we're saying, within every race, these things can take place, Ashley herself never gave her own race a chance to say, well, in every race, there's embarrassment. So when the internet claps back and says, listen, I don't even want to touch this girl with a barge pole with my tears, because look here, she no business with we, As black people, she no care about we, You have to understand exactly why. As much as it's insensitive, we know this. The timing's off, we know this. But when has the internet ever been anything but brutal? Now, it is clear that Ashley Jana had a deep-seated fixation with biracial relationships. And listen, there's nothing wrong if you prefer to be with somebody who's a different race. I mean, I have my preference. I want to be with my own. Some women, they prefer different races. So be it. But that fixation that we can see here from her tweets, mixed babies are so cute. I've been saying since the third grade, my children will be mixed. My baby's going to be mixed when I have a child. I mean, you have a baby with the man that you love, whoever that man is. And that love should be regardless of whatever race. That's the ideal setup of the world, isn't it? If we were living in a utopian society where everybody's loved, respected, and given equal chances and the playing ground is all level. But it isn't the case, is it? Aren't black men 10 times more likely to be stopped and searched? Aren't black men 10 times more likely to be blocked in terms of reaching management, despite the fact that other males are in management? Even black females can rise above black men faster because they fear giving power to black men. You don't know this? That's systemic racism. We're not going to talk about power dynamics, are we? And the fact that at the end of the day, black women are allowed to rise because we are considered to be less of a threat. But how about the underbelly of that? The fact that black women are allowed to rise, yes, because we're less of a threat, yes, but we're also easily disposable. So if they decide to get rid of us and replace us with a white female having done all the work, who's going to make a big deal out of that? Absolutely nobody. And how many of you have experienced it but are too embarrassed to talk about it? So yeah, I hear you. Let's not make this about race. Let's not point the finger at the white man and say, because he is white, that's why he did this to her and all of this. No. Let's ignore history and let's ignore the fact that some of the choices that we make as women are influenced by the fact that we have gone through an oppressive system and we're looking for survival and the way out. And sometimes we see that yellow brick road that takes us out of situations of oppression, and we choose the easier option. And the easier option is, instead of struggling with a black man who's also facing the same discrimination, if not more than we are, we're going to choose another race because we think that's a better way out. But the easy option these days is showing that, listen, there are risks involved. And no, it doesn't always have to be choosing a white man. It could also be choosing a black man who's got his money, because we're not willing to work from the bottom up with no brother. Yeah, we won't give them a leg up, but we're going to choose them the moment they got it together. Right? Like, check out this other post. Like, I hate when black men talk about all the reasons why they hate black women and how they can't date them and so this or that. This was in 2014. She's analyzing that black men are rejecting black women and they're choosing women of other races. Didn't she do the same when she was resting in her feminine energy? So when you're telling us bloggers, listen, stop talking about race, this isn't about race, this isn't about race, the very victim realized that there were dynamics of race when she made the choices that she made. And unfortunately on this occasion, it didn't work for her. Now I want to just quickly switch from Ashley Jana for a minute, and I'm going to focus on a different Instagram couple, okay, that I came across. And I want you to just take a look at these images from their video, okay? So in these images, they are showing off their biracial love. Nothing wrong with that. But then I started to really take in what they were trying to say. So the first statement on this video is, don't let society and the media fearmonger you. And then there is an image of this husband and wife, where she says, vet him. So this is the black woman towards the white man. Vet him. In other words, go do your investigation, check him out in the background and make sure, say, I know one serial killer or psychopath or one mad somebody are married. You hear me? Okay. Vet him, right? And then she goes on, you deserve nothing but the best. Now, every woman in a relationship, when she gives of her all, deserves the best. Facts, right? And on the surface, I was like, okay, there's nothing really wrong with this until I went to the damn comments, okay? In the comments, somebody goes, you choose whoever you want to love. It's safer with a white man, I heard. And then she comes up and says, real safe. Real safe, okay? Then she made a comment in response to somebody else who was criticizing the timing of her post, because literally she did this, within days of Ashley Janae's demise. And she goes, this person says, too soon and highly inconsiderate and cold. Her response is, it's always a good time for black women to level up. Now this, Mr. People, when I see this, Mr. No sad, a girl mad. Now girl sad and a girl mad. Because she just went from celebrating what is supposed to be love to actually denigrating an entire race of men by her choice, by claiming that being with her own was actually leveling down. That's implied. And being with her white man was leveling up. So, of course, she got the backlash. And then she got a really nice comment from myself, because I just had to let her know exactly what I felt about her comment, which was laced with self-loathing. Now, I'd hate to think that every black woman that's with a white man has this kind of mindset. I'd really hate to think so. But sometimes I really do wonder, what's going on in your head behind your choice? Is it real love, or is it a hatred for your own and your desire for mixed babies that made you do this? I'm just asking. Because when I see things like this, it shows me that there are very sick and twisted ones amongst us who make these deliberate choices because of a hatred of their own and not necessarily loving the person for exactly who they are. Now, as that white person sees this, how do they feel when they realize that their black partner is with them because they see them as that pathway to the sky, that level up that breaks through that white ceiling barrier? Because it's not glass, it's white. How do they feel about this? Wanna tell me now? So anyway, her post stated that black women dating outside of your race is not dangerous. Dating the wrong man is. And that is the agenda that some of these people who cover up their self-loathing is trying to push. Now, I'm not saying that this is for everybody, because I don't know what everybody's thought processes are when they choose to date or love outside of their race. And many do love the persons that they're with, and it's got nothing to do with this. As if their person turned black tomorrow, they would still be there. That's a beautiful thing. But beware of people who deliberately remove themselves from their own without any good reason other than being with a white person is a level up. Now, does this take away from the fact that what happened to Ashley Jana is a terrible tragedy and should never happen to any female? No, it does not. And it doesn't kill my empathy, despite the fact that black men are in an uproar on the internet towards Ashley, because I'm also a woman. And yes, this can happen to any female that's in a relationship where there is a silent war, where we don't speak out against oppression. Yes, it's very much there. And when I see posts like this that Ashley Jana made, where she said, taking your own life is never the answer, then of course we have every right to scream from the top of the hills, justice for Ashley Jana, because something isn't right about the case. Something definitely isn't right about the case. I mean, black men are crying out and using Ashley Janae's situation as an example for other black women to hear them. Like, take this tweet. When you speak about black men as if we're somehow a downgrade compared to white men, you ignore a simple truth. Every man, regardless of race, has flaws, and putting one group on a pedestal will always expose that reality. Respect goes both ways. Keep black men's names out of your mouth if all you intend to do is tear us down. Now you're lying in a morgue because you put 100% trust in a white man. Rest in peace, young lady. And that's from Carnell Jones. This person says, I know my opinion doesn't matter, but for as much as she tore black men down every chance she got, it's hard for me to feel bad for her. I hope her death actually sets an example for every black woman that looked up to her or tried to follow in her steps of denouncing black men just to end up where we, black men, tried to warn her she was heading. She actually said the black men were jealous that we're trying to warn her that he would take her life. Despite what I've been through at the hands of black women, they are still my preference and always will be. Keep playing with that side though. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the second post. First post, yes. This one, no, not so much. Because we've got to realize that there is a lot more to it than this. Because while people are fixated on Ashley Janae's death in Zanzibar, with some immediately insisting that her white husband must have killed her, even though the police have said that it's her taking her own life. Too many people are using the case to skirt a much bigger truth. And the bigger truth is simple. Black women face a disproportionately high risk of homicide all over the world. Black women are taken out by male perpetrators at rates far higher than white women. And in the most recent national analysis, they were taken out at higher rates than women in other major racial groups studied. That means this issue cannot be reduced to just one case, one rumor, or one conversation about who black women date or marry. Because most violent crime is interracial largely due to proximity. Black men should not pretend that they are not central to the crisis. And while it may be tempting to treat cases involving men outside of our community as if they explain everything that falls apart at the moment we confront stories like the Justin Fairfax murder-suicide involving his wife, Cerina Fairfax, protecting black women requires honesty, not selective outrage. And likewise, black women also need to stop putting down our own men. Because at the end of the day, there is good amongst all races, regardless. And it's full time we recognize that sometimes the choices that we make are not made on the right principles. Now, this might not necessarily apply to these two cases. Look at how the Fairfax lady just get wiped out like that. The Lieutenant Governor, Justin Fairfax, took out his wife because of their marital situation and their ongoing domestic disputes over a messy divorce. And if you notice, oftentimes when you see homicide involving a black man and a black woman, usually when she says she go left him, usually it has something to do with separation, something to do with rejection. There is really a deeper study that needs to happen where that is concerned. So I'm saying, people, we might be thinking race has nothing to do with this, but trust and believe, race has everything to do with it. And the choices we make in this life can sometimes turn around to haunt us, especially when we have declared ourselves as choosing a side because we think it's easier. We think the grass is greener. And then we end up losing our lives. If you've made it this far into the video, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, click that bell so every time I drop a video, you are notified. This is your girl, Head Teacher K, and I'm out.